We just planned my niece's destination wedding and just got back. Learn about the experience. Hi, this is Jack with Vacationese, and like I said, we just planned my niece's wedding over the past year. We got back from it. Amazing. Amazing. I had a great time. It's fun being a guest. I want to share with you the experience of being not only the travel professional, but the one truly planning the wedding. And it was a lot of fun. But let me give you the insights, because typically I'm giving you all this advice based upon my experience as the travel professional. In this case, I can meld the experience as a travel professional as well as picking vendors and dealing with hotels and picking things. Made me think that in the future I'm going to do some videos with some of our past clients and learn more about their experience. Okay, let's start with square one. My niece came to my wife and I, who, as you know, Sharon, my partner, some of you may be working with, came to us about a year and a half ago and said, I want to have a destination wedding. We were very surprised. First thing we said to her is, why? You know, who are you inviting? Where are the guests? And I think what we came up with is they wanted that beach vibe. They wanted something informal. Plus, they live in Baltimore. Some of the family lives here in Philly. Some of the other family lives in Dallas. Some lives in Phoenix. Other people are in California. So they had people coming from all over, and they really didn't have roots anywhere. And they just wanted to have a really good time with people maybe she hasn't seen since college, or family and friends because of COVID weren't together. So anyway, we started the process. I said, okay, Julia, I think destination wedding is perfect for you. We went over her budget. I thought, okay, it's a great budget. How many people? We created the rooming list or our guest list, just like I advised you. We identified about 120 people she was going to invite. We kind of put percentages of acceptance in there, as I've talked about, and we came up that we thought we'd probably have about 70 people attending. We're actually pretty close. We ended up having 60. Take a step back. We identified only a few people that had kids. She had a discussion with them and ultimately decided, let's do adults only. So we chose adults only. At that point, I treated her just like a normal client. She filled out my paperwork. We had a couple discussions. We put together a short list. She wanted an adults only resort with great food, good alcohol, pools all over the place, and some unique wedding locations, and she wanted a team that would really help her a lot. So let me tell you the resorts I had on my list. The resorts I had on my list were Eldorado Royale and Casitas, Eldorado Seaside Suites, Eldorado Maroma. Ultimately, it was too small. Some of the Secrets resorts, and then because they said they wanted more of a little party vibe, I had Breathless Riviera Cancun. As you get the drift, she wanted it in Riviera Maya, Cancun area, because it was, for flight-wise, it made the most sense with where everybody was coming from. So ultimately, after boiling it down, and she wanted some unique locations. She was looking for a rooftop location. She wanted something that had more of a Mexican vibe to it versus a really contemporary vibe. So all of a sudden, when we had that, we took Secrets the Vine was also on the list. But again, we took that out. I, of course, wanted LeBlanc on the list. It really wasn't the right fit for them because they wanted a little bit more nightlife and party action. Whereas, as many of you know from my discussion about LeBlanc, it's more of a laid-back spa zen resort. So ultimately, she chose Eldorado Royale, Eldorado Casita, and even though she wasn't having children, she fell in love with some of the locations at Generations, which is part of the complex. So we signed contracts. We ended up, I think we started with 40 rooms. I think at the end of the day, we booked about 32 of the rooms, so not bad. I think it was 35 rooms is what we did. We booked about 32. We ultimately had everybody at Eldorado Royale or Casitas, which is the adults only section, except for one person, my in-laws. We put them at Generations. Why? They're in their 80s. I didn't want them having to take golf carts all over the place. 2 of the wedding locations were at Generations. There are elevators there, and we just felt logistically it was best for them, and we could all meet and share. They didn't care about pools and beaches, but I just wanted it more convenient, and it worked out beautifully. We signed all the wedding contracts. The wedding manager at Charisma, which owns Eldorado's, assigned Anna as the wedding coordinator. She's amazing. If you've worked with her or in the future you work with her, she's very creative. She's very responsive. She's based in Mexico. She worked with the couple and us. My wife and I helped as well. And we really looked at what events we wanted to have. We kind of mapped out our strategy in terms of the welcome party, a rehearsal and family dinner, because a lot of us hadn't seen each other for 2 years. She wanted to do something with her bridesmaids, so we came up with some ideas on that. And then, of course, the ceremony and the reception. So ultimately, the majority of people stayed 4 nights and 5 nights. I think we only had 1 or 2 people that stayed 3. As you know from my videos, I'm really opposed to 3-night stays. I just think you don't get to enjoy the resort, especially if you're coming from the West Coast and you have to leave early or fly in late. So she worked with Anna over the past year. She had a great experience with Anna. Yes, it may have taken Anna a little bit longer to get back to her. I always warn people that don't think that the folks at these resorts are going to respond just like that, like I do, or other people you're dealing with here in the States. It's a different vibe. They're very busy, and they just may take a little bit longer. But I think she was happy with the response times with Anna. They had a Zoom call over the past 9 months of working with her. They had phone calls, exchanged emails. Again, we had a pretty black and white criteria of what we were looking for the schedule of events. And I think when you're playing, you really need to go into that way. We knew we wanted a Mexican vibe for the welcome party. So we did some really cool stuff. And I think everybody had a great time. It was very informal because of how people's flights were coming in. So we did something a little bit later after a family dinner. For the ceremony, it was on the pier at Generations, which is an amazing, amazing location that is not replicated at any other resort I know of. It sticks out about 100 feet into the water, with just the ocean in the background and the beautiful sound of the waves as well. It's covered. They draped it. They did a very nice job of draping it. They had cocktails right on the pier right afterwards, which was very nice. And the family, inclusive of us, we went and took some pictures on the pier and in other places. Then we walked legitimately 50 feet off the pier for the reception, which was an area called Palapa Ganesh. One of the things she wanted to make sure, since she was at a beach resort, that they saw the water at all times for her events. Palapa Ganesh is right off the sand. It's paved. It has a cover. It has a bar, but you can walk right down in the sand. Again, she wanted to bring the spirit of Mexico, so she asked me some ideas I had. We talked about pole dancers, fire dancers, Mayan shaman, things of that nature, and ultimately, and we talked about fireworks. Ultimately, she decided on the fire dancers. It was about $1,000 with the live drummer performance. People were mesmerized. It is a great experience. It was truly interactive, really got everybody involved, and they did it between courses at dinner as well as into the dinner. She wanted a plated dinner, multiple menus, and the staff was great dealing with. She had vegan, vegetarian, my father-in-law who only likes burnt steak, well done, folks like me that only want chicken, and other people wanted fish. So the resort was great. They had signature drinks they designed with Anna for each of their events, which was great. It was interactive. When you walked in, they had a bartender custom making these, I think they were palomas at one of the events. At another one, it was a spicy margarita. And their open bar had top shelf brands. They wanted certain drinks that are typically not there, but they were able to have them because they knew certain friends wanted certain things. They had a DJ. They did use most of the vendors. Actually, every vendor they used was part of the in-house team at the resort. I was very happy with them. She was very happy. At 11 o'clock, the music curfew was 11 o'clock at that time of the year. At 11 o'clock, people were still dancing. And the younger people, not me, went down to what's called Guacamaya, which is a club where there's dancing until, I think my daughter said they got back at 2 in the morning. It's at the resort, part of the all-inclusive. So again, I talked to a lot of the guests. Everybody had a great time. As someone that was planning not only the room and the travel positions, as well as partaking in planning the wedding events, I have to say that the experience pre-planning was amazing. When we got to the resort, we had a meeting with Elvia, who was the in-house wedding coordinator, who was with my niece the whole time. I mean, every time you saw my niece, you saw Elvia. She was great. She ran back to the room to get stuff. It was free. She was supplied by the resort. It's one of the things I do like about working with Charisma El Dorado Resorts or the Charisma properties. Their wedding team is hands down some of the best wedding planners of any of the resorts down there. But Elvia was there to help her. They had a pre-meeting to go over the weather each day to determine if they had to look at Plan B options. So things were amazing. We did tip Elvia and some bartenders and the waiters. I have no negative things to say. I'm a pretty picky guy at these events, but it was flawless. So hopefully this helps. Again, I'm coming at it from a different perspective. I had a great time hanging out with my brother-in-laws, having breakfast with my in-laws. It is truly what a destination wedding was about, what we experienced. Sitting at a pool bar with my brother-in-laws, my nieces, my nephews, seeing people that I haven't seen because they were her friends for 20 or 30 years. And I think the guests, which were mid-20s to mid-30s, we have two people that now want to do destination weddings because of the overall experience. So again, this is my experience as a guest, as the travel professional, as a quasi-wedding planner, if my wife and I could be called that. But this was El Dorado Royale, El Dorado Casitas, Generations, amazing team, and the wedding just took place in early November. Thanks for watching the videos.